Okay, this is the exam number 1 review. Okay, I'm just gonna give you some ideas of some of the questions that'll be on it for you to look at. Okay, you'll need to know footnote 4 of caroling products. Again, review the material to know that. There'll be a question with regards to that. You'll also need to know a number of the Federalist papers, okay, that were assigned. There'll be sections of them, okay, that you'll need to know. One of which is Federalist 52. There's sections in the chapter with regards to federalism, and there's a particular phrase that goes something like this: as it's essential to liberty that the government in general should have a common interest with the people, so it's particularly essential that the branch of it under consideration should have an immediate dependence on or an intimate sympathy with the people, okay? And then, again, there'll be a section of it there you'll have to fill in the words. So take a look at the federalism PowerPoint, and you'll see information with regards to that. There'll be a question on liberty. Okay, I talk about liberty at the founding era and liberty today. You'll need to learn to distinguish the two and answer that. Okay, you'll need to know basically how the structure of the Constitution was affected when right to privacy cases are taken up by the Supreme Court. Okay, when they create new rights in cases like abortion, okay, or in issues like homosexual rights. What happens to the structure of the Constitution, okay? There's some information there in the chapters in the PowerPoint for section 4 and 5. You'll see that there. Know the difference between libertarians, economic conservatives, economic liberals, and populists. Okay, there'll be questions about them. Okay, libertarians, economic conservatives, populists. Okay, know the difference between them. Okay, also you need to know some of the notable shifts that occur to the federal government and the structure of the Constitution when the court grants new rights to individuals in cases involving abortion and gay rights. Okay, and just let me help you out with this a little bit, okay, if we didn't talk about it entirely. Okay, what tends to happen is when the government gives new rights, again, the Supreme Court gives new rights. Okay, when I say new rights, you can scan the Constitution all day long and you will never ever see anything saying you shall give new rights to people that want to enjoy gay marriage. Okay, you can't find it there. Okay, it was always meant to be decided by the states and local governments, okay? But now the courts weighs in, okay? So what happens is the role of government shifts from securing your natural rights to granting new rights. And the other problem that happens is that the federalism that is contained within the 10th Amendment, again, remember, this secures the rights for people in states. The rights in the 10th Amendment is surrendered to the 14th Amendment. Okay, so just realize that in that question, okay? Know what affirmative action is, okay? Know what suspect classes are. Know what de jure and de facto discrimination is. Again, that's the chapter on civil rights, civil liberties. Okay, you can take a look at those there. Know what the strict scrutiny test is. Know what the reasonable basis test is. Okay, you have to know something about that. Know what is contained within the 14th Amendment. Remember those 3 things: equal protection, privileges and immunities, and due process. Okay, so understand what that is. Know what the weaknesses of the Articles of Confederation is. Okay, know what the weaknesses of the Articles of Confederation is. Let's see what else here. Did that. Okay. Again, know when we're talking about civil rights, what is the key provision in the 14th Amendment? Okay, you've got equal protection clause, due process clause, privileges and immunities. Okay, again, if we're talking about equal rights, which clause in the 14th Amendment do you think is the most important? Okay, okay, going back to the chapter on civil liberties, know what the free exercise clause is, know what the establishment clause is as it pertains to freedom of religion. Okay. Know the difference between civil rights and civil liberties. Know the difference between civil rights and civil liberties. Okay. In Federalist 84, what did Alexander Hamilton think the Constitution was? Am I being too helpful? Okay. Understand what we talked about free speech. Okay, we talked about the difference between libel and slander, between private persons, and libel and slander with public officials. Okay, you'll need to understand what that means, okay, and the difference. Okay, in other words, why can the National Enquirer print all kinds of salacious false information about President Trump, but it can't about you? Okay. Know what selective incorporation is. Know what selective incorporation is. Know what prior restraint is. Know what prior restraint is. Know the holding of Griswold versus Connecticut. Know the holding of Griswold versus Connecticut. Again, there's another question on the Establishment Clause, so obviously know that fairly well. That's in the First Amendment. That's the Freedom of Religion Clause. Know the holding of Barron versus Baltimore. Know the holding of Barron versus Baltimore. Okay, and how that changed with the passage of the 14th Amendment. Know the holding in McCulloch versus Maryland and Gibbons v. Ogden. Okay. Know the difference between enumerated powers and implied powers. Again, the enumerated powers are in Article 1, Section 8, talking about, right, the Congress, telling it what it can and cannot do, right? Stay within the lines, right? Draw or write within the lines, okay? Implied powers is connected to the necessary and proper clause, right? It's more that elasticity of rights or elasticity of the power of the federal government, okay? No Federalist 46, okay? Again, this gets back to the Federalism chapter, the Federalism PowerPoint. Specifically, I list a section of Federalist 46. Understand what that's referring to there. Know the difference between dual federalism and cooperative federalism. Okay, know the difference between dual federalism and cooperative federalism. Understand the primary goal, of the writers of the Constitution. What was the primary goal of the writers of the Constitution? Know what federalism is. Know what dualism is. Know what devolution is. Okay, I'm sorry, forget dualism. Well, yeah, you probably need to know dualism, but know in particular what devolution is and what federalism is. Devolution and federalism. Again, there's another question on McCulloch versus Maryland. You'll need to know that. Know what reserved powers are and which branch of the government enjoys reserved powers. Know what we the people means. Okay, know what we the people means. Know a little bit about President Andrew Jackson and how he dealt with electoral votes. Okay, in the chapter addressing that, I talk about that. With regards to areas of federalism and otherwise. And then as we talk about elections, check that out. Again, what did President Andrew Jackson do with regards to electoral votes? Okay. Again, know what the Bill of Rights did. Okay, what did the Bill of Rights do that the Constitution didn't do? Because remember, the Bill of Rights are added to the Constitution later. Okay. How does the Constitution provide for representative government? How does the Constitution provide for representative government? How does the U.S. Constitution limit government? How does the Constitution limit government? Again, I talk about that. Think separation of powers. Think federalism. Okay, I'm giving you pretty big hints there. The separation of powers. Why did the framers create the separation of powers within the Constitution? They were very concerned about something. Okay. Again, there'll be a question about enumerated powers and implied powers. Make sure you know that. Know which group, okay, know the difference between the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists, okay? What were the Anti-Federalists arguing for as they were debating about ratifying the Constitution? What were the Federalists arguing for? Again, know the difference there, okay? Know what the Great Compromise was in the Constitutional Convention. Know what the Great Compromise was in the Constitutional Convention. Know the holding of Marbury versus Madison. Know the holding of Marbury versus Madison. Know the different governments of the United States. Okay, remember the very first government, if you will, and it wasn't of the U.S., because they were still colonies, it was actually a monarchy, right? As they were colonists, they were still subject to the British monarch, okay? But then, under the Articles, what kind of government did we have? Under the Constitution, what kind of government did we have? Know the relationship between the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. Okay, remember the frame? That's the hint I'm going to give you. Know what a Constitution is. Remember, in one of my lectures, I gave the difference between what a statute is, what an ordinance is, and what a constitution is. Okay, know what a constitution is. Know what the founders thought about pure democracy. Okay, in the second module, or the second lesson's PowerPoint, okay, I talk about the separation of powers and limited government, okay? What did the founders think about human nature that caused them to design a system that provided for limited government and separation of powers. Okay, I talked about two components or two aspects of human nature. Okay, you're going to have to know that. Know a little bit about the pre-political rights that Thomas Jefferson put in the Declaration of Independence. Hint, hint, hint. It's in the second paragraph. Okay. Know the exact system of government that we have in the United States under the Constitution. Is it a democracy? Is it a republic? Is it some form of combination of the two? What does that look like? Okay. All right. Know something about Webster's 1828 dictionary and what they thought about the most basic definition of government. Okay, so there you have it. Okay, I've gone through a good portion of what's on the exam, or at least I've steered you in the right direction. Okay, you're welcome. Okay, if you have any questions about this, please let me know. But again, I've literally walked you through a good portion of the material that is going to be on the first exam. Okay, all right, take care and have a great rest of your week.